Hello and welcome to the Rest is Football emergency show. All three of us are here because obviously big news has broken. Thomas Tuchel has signed a deal to become the new England manager, apparently. Sky Germany are reporting Tuchel has signed an 18-month contract with the FA, which will start on January the 1st. Therefore, that would take in the World Cup, obviously, in 2026. There's no comment yet from the Football Association on this, but it would mean Lee Carsley remaining in interim charge for next month's Nations League matches against Greece and the Republic of Ireland. Gents, it appears like it's a done deal, and we're going to have a German manager. I suppose, in a way, if you can't beat them, sign them.
It's happened so quickly, hasn't it? I mean, we said, and you said the other day, there's perhaps a reason why Lee Carsley was ruling himself out, because practically that's what he did. Maybe you were right in saying that he knew something that we all didn't know.
Definitely, I think.
I really hope that they have spoken to English managers. I'm reliably told they didn't speak to Eddie Howe or sound him out at all, which is a big surprise for me, considering he would be the outstanding English candidate.
It's confirmed, apparently, that they did reach out in the summer to Pep Guardiola. And also, I understand that they spoke to Carlo Ancelotti. So, as for your point about an English manager, perhaps that's where we should start. It's not the first time, obviously, the English national team, the Football Association, has appointed a foreign coach. It started with Sven-Göran Eriksson, and then we had Fabio Capello. Neither of those won as a trophy. So, are you surprised they've gone down that route again?
We had a Dutch manager, though, as well, didn't we? McLaren. I love Steve McLaren as well. What a coach he was. But yeah, on a more serious note, I think the more damning thing, before we give Tuchel his flowers, Alan, you remember that word now?
I do, yeah.
Is the whole thing of St. George's Park and what it was there to create in terms of players and coaches. I think the point is we've not got an English candidate strong enough to take that job. I think that is one of the most interesting things. I was of the opinion that you don't need an English manager. Just go out and get, the best person for the job. I think Tuchel is an outstanding manager. He's a proven winner. I'm not sure how he's going to fit all these great players together, because at Chelsea he played three at the back at times, the way he builds up. At times he's played two number 10s as well. But there's so many questions that need answering. We'll hear more from the FA tomorrow. But we have to all agree that Tuchel is a winner. No matter where he comes from, he could be the difference between winning and losing. And I know people will say, well, he should have won at PSG. He should have won at Bayern. You still have to win at those clubs. He won the Champions League with Chelsea, and there was massive underdogs going into that game. So I understand why he's been given the job, and I'm excited to see what he can bring.
This has happened so quickly. Here's my take on it. If you're right in what you're saying, Gary, in terms of they sounded out Pep, fine, he is the best manager in the world, then you then have to look at what's available to you. Now, they've looked at whoever, and they've come up with Thomas Tuchel, and they've thought there's a real live chance he could get the Man United job pretty soon. So their opportunity lies now. So if they didn't act quick now, they weren't going to get one of the outstanding candidates for the England job, because there's every chance that that vacancy could become available soon.
Obviously, there was a big meeting, wasn't there, at Manchester United in London with Jim Ratcliffe and all the various people that are involved. There was a lot of kind of rumour that maybe they were going to fire Erik ten Hag. Now, maybe they weren't. I don't know. I have no inside information on that. But possibly, obviously, we know that they went for Tuchel in the summer. and it didn't happen. So maybe they were thinking again, and maybe you're right, Alan. Maybe the FA have gone, crikey, we don't want to miss out to Manchester United, and it maybe pushed them, because it does seem slightly odd that the timing, because the reports are that he's not going to do the job until the start of the year.
Yep.
With Lee Carsley in charge. I suspect he knew, like you said, Alan, because his quotes were slightly kind of informative in a way, weren't they?
Yeah.
Particularly the second quote after the second game, which they won, where he stipulated the fact that England needs a man that's won trophies. Now, Tuchel has won trophies. I think in a way that he knew. I think he'd probably been told. And also, he's had to deal with a very difficult scenario for him where he knows he's not going to get the job, but he's been put in front of the press to deal with it. And I feel for him a little bit on that front.
But do you think that was now, Gary, or do you think at the very start, or do you think
No, I think it's recently. I think they knew that they were speaking to people, but why wouldn't they? That's fine, because the job was up for grabs. But I think he knew even before the Greece game, which maybe was one of the reasons where he thought, fuck it, I'm going to play them all. I'm going to play all the superstars in all different positions, not going to bother with a number 9 because Harry Kane's not fit, and just to try something.
I think it's happened so quickly that the FA thought we have to act here, or there's a real chance we're going to lose one of our outstanding candidates in Tuchel to a club management job. And that could have happened really soon. And I think that fits in with everything, why he would start in January and not maybe immediately. They thought, well, let's get this deal done now.
Are you comfortable with the German doing the job, Alan?
If he's the outstanding candidate, yeah. Yeah, if he's the only one. But it would be a little bit of a concern that what's the pathway for England coaches, if they've brought this centre along that we thought, and they want to promote English coaches, then for me, the outstanding candidate, look, I'm happy in a way because Newcastle are not going to be losing their manager, and he's an outstanding manager. But he would have been the main English candidate for me, and for me to know that he hasn't even been sounded out is very surprising.
What about you, Gaz? How do you feel?
I genuinely believe that national team football, particularly with the big nations, I think the manager should be from the national team, from the country that they are. If you look around the big nations in world football, Brazil, they've always had a Brazilian coach, although they are rumoured to be looking at someone like Ancelotti for the next job. Argentina, Argentinian coaches. Germany have never had anything but a German coach. Same with Italy, same with Spain. Why are England doing that? Because for some reason, English football has not produced a plethora of brilliant coaches. I think that will happen, and I think we're starting to see really good coaches coming through. But I think the problem, the reason that we've not produced great coaches is the fact that we were stuck in the past in terms of long ball football. We were behind everybody else. It's like, Alan, Micah, when you go away with England and play in matches, or even with your club side, you go to countries like Portugal or even places like Hungary or wherever, and you think, Christ, technically they're all better than us because we weren't taught to play that well. That has changed because conditions of pitches have improved, and also the coaches have improved at academy level, and we learnt to pass the ball to each other rather than just lump the ball long like we were taught when we were kids, because we played on full-size pitches, which was stupid. And eventually we play on short-sided pitches and people have learnt to pass the ball together. Now, the after effect of that is now coming through in terms of our footballers, because we produce now technically gifted footballers that can play just like Spanish players, just like Portuguese players, just like German players. But that takes more time in terms of the coaching side of things, I believe. So eventually, I think we're starting to see some young coaches, English coaches, come through now. Eddie Howe being an obvious one. Someone like Russell Martin, he plays that kind of football. So I think that will take time to come through. So in the interim period, that's why we've had to go down the route of foreign coaches.
I always had the feeling, as an Englishman coming through, you get that hype, don't you? For the first couple of years, Majkovic is going to be whatever. It doesn't quite happen. Then you've got the media who turn against you. And then you could look at a Brazilian, let's call him Richardinho or whatnot, and people are saying he's worth another 20 million. And I feel it's similar with coaches. I agree with what you said in terms of the tactical and the process in terms of big pitches, small pitches. But if you actually look at Gerrard did a wonderful job at Rangers. When he went to Villa, was it just too soon?
I mean, they had the first bad spell and he was out.
Exactly. You go to Lampard. Lampard did really well at Derby. Admittedly, he had a good budget, some really good players. Did he take the Chelsea job? I'm talking about the hype.
How do you turn down the Chelsea job, though, as someone like Frank Lampard, who's been a hero there?
Look at Potter. Potter's outstanding coach. Yes, in front of
He's one of the young people I'm talking about that's coming through now that have got that kind of
But he was available.
coaching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying, because I think it's more now, Gaz and Alan, than just a coach. I think you've got to have the full package. I think you've got to have things. You've got to have credibility. You've got to be able to speak well in front of the media. Soon as Lee Carsley got the job, and yes, it talked about the national anthem, all those sort of things, but it's like, what's he going to say on camera? Is he going to give us something tactical? Is he going to leave something in his press conference that's leave us thinking about something? But unfortunately, that wasn't his strong point. So the whole of the football world are judging him on that one game because it didn't work out. All of a sudden, he's not a good coach. He took the 21s, won the tournament without conceding a goal, and all of a sudden, overnight, the England jobs is too much.
Do you know who I'd have given the job to?
Who would you give it to?
I would have given it to Lee Carsley. I've seen enough to suggest to me that the players really trust him, that he's imaginative enough to produce something that is a joy to watch, is entertaining, that is front-footed football. And I would have gone for Lee Carsley. Now, it's not my job to pick people like that, but I could tell that he knew that he wasn't getting the job, I suspect, between his first camp and sometime before the Greece game. I think he knew that. And that probably would have affected his thinking. But I would have done that because I've looked at the history of international football in the recent history. And as I've said on the pod in the last couple of weeks, the two winners of the last two major tournaments had no real experience of coaching outside the national setup.
We take the mick out of Val, don't we? We take the mick out of Val. He's at Newcastle. His boyhood club. He's got his badges. His first job is Newcastle. Well, he's not a miracle worker. He needs experience. He needs time. And now, Alan can't manage. He couldn't keep Newcastle up. I'm not saying people have said that, but that is potentially a perception.
I think we all think that, though, man.
No, me and you think that, Gaz.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
do you understand what I'm saying? I just feel like the English coaches, they're not having enough time to prove their actual worth, if they're good enough or not.
Let's not forget also we had two outstanding candidates in terms of foreign managers in Capello and Eriksson, who had an incredible
Didn't work, though.
CV, and it didn't work for either of them, did it? For various reasons.
Thomas Tuchel. He's been a very successful coach, no question about that. He won a Ligue 1 with Paris Saint-Germain. Champions League, of course, with Chelsea, as well as the Super Cup and Club World Cup with the same club. He won the Bundesliga and the DFB Pokal Cup, which is the German version, obviously, of the FA Cup as well. So he's had a lot of success. How would you evaluate his style of football, Micah?
I think he's a manager who can adapt to whoever he's playing against. I think that's one of his best assets. I think on a build-up, he likes to go with a 3, but he can play with a 4. He almost likes 2 pivots at time, whether he wants the fullback coming in or the fullbacks really high and wide. He could play with wing-backs before. I think it's slow on build-up, but then once you get into the final third, he wants all the rotations. He wants people running behind. And he's adapted to so many different teams. I think it was always hard when he was at PSG because he's got superstars in that team. So I think at times when I was watching him in the Champions League, it was basically get the ball to Mbappe as quick as possible and everyone sort of defend right at that. At Bayern, it's always hard to tell what a manager wants to play, what system the manager wants to play when you're watching the Bundesliga, because everyone's always, really deep in a low block. But in Champions League, I think tactically he can bend in any direction, no matter who he's playing against. If you look at the Champions League final against Man City, Man City.
That was a triumph for him tactically to overcome
It just was, but it was just all about the timing. He utilizes the players that he has. I think that the biggest thing for me now, he's got all this top talent. It's not that question mark or how is he going to, the question mark, how is he going to get Foden into the team? The Grealish has been playing well. Where is he going to play Jude? But I think for a manager who has it all tactically, that's what we can look forward to, him finding the right pieces for this puzzle. That's one of his strengths.
Well, there's no doubt he's got an incredible CV. What he's won, and with his experience, not only of managing at the highest level, but working with superstars. But this is going to be a very, very different test for him in terms of the England job, what it is, how it works, and everything that goes with it. So, yeah, it's a bold move from the FA. There's no doubt about it.
If you take Sven-Göran Eriksson and Fabio Capello, neither of those two had managed at all in English football before they took the job. He has, and I think that will help him. So he'll understand how English players think, how English players act, how English players play. He's very demanding, that is for sure. You were both there, weren't you? Were Barnsley versus Chelsea in the FA Cup during COVID?
Yes.
It was freezing cold. It was about -8. Remember? And you were both there. I'm sure you were, yeah?
Yes, we were both there, yes.
Because there was no crowd, you could hear him. We were about, 50 yards away, 30 yards probably from the dugout behind him in the stand, shivering away there. And boy, oh boy, did he let loose on his players at times. And you could hear him absolutely lambasting them on occasions and encouraging them on others. So he's obviously a very demanding man. He's just as I'm sure most coaches are and have to be in a certain way. I interviewed him at length for the BBC, and he was charming, really charming in that interview. So I think he knows how to do the charm factor for the press, and he would have been used to that. He's very experienced at handling that sort of thing, which is an important part of the game. But at the same time, we all know the important part is what happens on the pitch. Well,
in reality, with the England manager, I think that's more so than ever, because we need a trophy. It's as simple as that. And we need a manager that can deliver.
No pressure.
It'll be a completely different pressure to what he's had before. But he has had huge pressure in terms of who he's managed. So, and he's delivered at those football clubs, but it'd be very, very different.
Is tournament football different though? Do you think?
Yeah, it is different. Yeah, it's different because
he's not got any experience of that.
No, it's different because you have to manage the egos over a period of time, the disappointment, the joy, the keeping everyone happy, keeping everyone involved. Despite all that, you have got to go out and win. You've got to win the tournament, and that's what he's been hired for. Because of, I guess they see this bunch of players as the best England have had for a long, long time.
So when you two go to major tournaments, the modern day player likes a lot of information, tactics and all that sort of stuff. What is it that you want as a player from a manager what's different?
To pick you. to trust you. You need to be assured, you need to be confident that they know what they're doing. That's obvious. But
he's got that.
It's very unlikely that you're going to get the England job without knowing what you're doing. Then you want to trust them, and you want them to be on your side. You want them to be supportive, particularly in the media. I think that's really important. You know what players are like. Ultimately, they'll want someone in there that gives them a chance of winning. And aside from the fact that they'll want someone in there that likes them and will pick them, that's obvious. That goes without saying. But if you get a manager and you go, this guy, he genuinely knows what he's doing. So immediately he'll win the respect. And he's won a Champions League. He's won a Bundesliga. He's won the Liga. He's got that kind of experience. Whether I would pick a non-Englishman or not, it's irrelevant. It doesn't really matter that much because no one will care one iota if England somehow manage to win the World Cup and put us out of this fucking misery. God knows how many years of never winning anything.
I can see an England-Germany World Cup final in 18 months' time.
It's amazing how things pan out, isn't it, in life? I'm sure he'd love that. And he will. That this fella's looked at this and he's not just taken this because, he's a German. He's looked at this and he's taken another team's national squad, and he will have done this because he would have looked at this squad and gone, my goodness, there's so much talent in there. This is an unbelievable opportunity of winning the greatest trophy of all.
Yeah.
And boy, would I love him to do it. It would be sehr gut.
I'm excited, though. You must be excited, guys. I mean...
Always.
We all respected Gareth, but we wanted someone with maybe a little bit more creativity. I think that was fair. Gareth did an outstanding job.
Do you think Thomas Tuchel's is kind of more creative, more forward-thinking than probably Gareth?
Yes, but not massively. I think if everyone's expecting Pep, don't expect that. He's not going to be on the front foot. He's just going to be, he's patient. The time is going to be good. They're going to be well organised. But I think there'll be that sparkle sometimes that we've missed. Even in the Euros, we sort of just, every game, it was like a great moment that got us through to the final. Hopefully we can just play good football, add them moments, and that could be the difference.
A bit of Deutsche Sparkle now. That's what we need, isn't it? A bit of Deutsche Sparkle.
We need a trophy, that's what we need.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, they sparkle, don't they, trophies? So let's hope we get one at some point. That's it for our emergency episode. We've got a new England manager. It'd be mad, wouldn't it, if tomorrow lunchtime we tune into the press conference and they announced Pep Guardiola. So I think they're highly unlikely. I think rumours, they tend to be real. Everyone's going with it. We wish Thomas Tuchel all the very best, that is for sure. But for now, goodbye from me.
Bye from me.
Goodbye from me.